Welcome to Annette on Life, Liberty, and Happiness, a podcast where I talk about the Constitution, politics, history, the culture, or pretty much anything else I want to talk about. This podcast can be found on AnnetteTalks.com, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Hopefully it's available in all those places by now. This is my intro episode. So I had a podcast before and it was available in all those places, so I'm assuming it will be available. This one will be available as well. Anyway, I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you what this podcast is about and why I'm doing it. Many of you know me. My name is Annette Bybee, and I had another podcast called LDS Unmarried Life. And so some of you were listeners there that are hopefully now joining me here. This podcast is obviously going to be different. It's going to have a much broader range of topics. I have been wanting to do this podcast for a while, so I'm excited to get back to my original idea for a podcast. But I'm obviously going to be talking about the Constitution. I think that's something that is not discussed enough. I think children aren't really taught it much. There aren't many civics classes anymore. And it's just too important to not be talking about it. And obviously that leads to discussions on politics, especially what's going on currently. I'm not going to do a whole lot of newsy type episodes, but I want to take big concepts and unpack them. And we'll be talking about things like socialism versus the free market. And so those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about, as well as the culture. I love movies, books, and music, and so I'm not limiting myself to anything. I'm going to open it up so I can talk about whatever I think needs to be talked about. And that also includes parenting. I'm a single mom of 3 daughters, and stuff comes up sometimes that I want to talk about them and also about being single. It's just that that's not going to be the sole focus of this podcast. Also, something that I'm hoping will really go well, one of the ideas for sort of the cornerstone of this podcast is that I'm going to do episodes, hopefully monthly, called Civil Discourse. And the idea behind this is to bring in 2 people, probably just 2, I don't think I can handle more than 2, that have opposing viewpoints, and then let them tell us what their viewpoint is, and then discuss, not debate, not argue, not try to convince the other person that they're right, but discuss. And the goal is to try to understand each other, because I think the country is really divided right now, and it doesn't need to be. There is no reason why people that disagree can't be friends, or at least be agreeable, be civil, have civil discussions, hence the title Civil Discourse. And obviously the reason behind that is that I'm trying to show the country that we can do this and try to set the example that let's be friends, let's reds and blues can talk, right? Reds and blues can talk civilly and kindly. And so I've actually got my first one lined up. I'm going to be recording next week. And I have someone who identifies as a democratic socialist and then someone that identifies as a libertarian. And we're going to talk about socialism versus the free market. So I have no idea how it's going to go, but I have high hopes for my Civil Discourse episodes. My overarching goal for the podcast is that I want to educate, inform, inspire, and entertain. And so if I'm doing at least 1 or 2 of those things each episode, I will feel like I'm accomplishing my goal. I also want this podcast to be something that where I have some interaction with you, the listeners and the viewers. I'm also going to try and film every episode so that it's on YouTube if you want to see what we all look like that are recording. I can't guarantee that's always going to work because sometimes you have technical difficulties, but that's my goal. Anyway, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you what you think about how the podcast is running, what you think about specific topics that we're discussing, or if you have ideas for topics you'd like me to talk about. I can't guarantee that I'll do that, but I'm really open to ideas. I really want to reach people with important and valuable information. And like I said, I want to entertain as well. So I'm going to try and keep it light and fun. Some topics are going to be pretty serious, but I'm hopefully always going to keep it light and fun and entertaining as well as informative. So you can reach me if you want to send me suggestions. You can reach me at Annette@AnnetteTalks.com, Or if you want to talk about one of the episodes, you can find each one individually on AnnetteTalks.com once they post. I'll be posting about one a week. Just discuss, add a comment right there underneath the episode. Or you can find me on Facebook, Facebook.com/Annette Talks, YouTube.com/Annette Talks. If you really like what I'm doing and you want to support me, go to patreon.com/Annette Talks and help financially support me. This is not making any money at this point. It's just for fun and because I think it needs to be done. So that's pretty much what it's going to be about. As far as me, as I mentioned, I'm a single mom. I have 3 daughters. I'm also an attorney, though I'm not practicing right now. I'm not going to be taking any legal questions or anything like that. But I also teach college. I teach political science courses and really enjoy that. Other than that, I'm raising my girls and I'm just trying to live a good life. So I look forward to hearing from you, your comments and suggestions, your accolades, whatever you want to send my way. So I hope that you will keep listening. And if you find that there's an episode that's particularly interesting or helpful, share it with your friends. Please subscribe on AnnetteTalks.com and on YouTube. And that way you'll get the episodes as soon as they publish. All right. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.